to the second episode of this Lunik web series, and we're going to be talking about the epic history of cooperatives. My name is Naz. I'm a social coordinator for the summer in 2011. We'll have organized in such that mutual benefit and collective well-being is a priority in self-sustaining communities. In cooperative structures, jobs and resources are allocated among community members and only maintaining trade relationships with external communities. The cooperative society that we're particularly concerned with is an alternative business model in which members work together for mutual social, economic, and cultural benefits rather than to maximize a profit for one shareholder. The cooperative as a business model emerged from a reaction to poverty produced during the Industrial Revolution in Europe. People affected by terrible working conditions, unfair working hours, and wages sought cooperatives as one of the alternatives to challenge their conditions. A large influence on the cooperative movement was rejecting welfare reforms and the concept of charity. The poor laws introduced by the British government were radically changed, and the institutions of state and church began to distinguish who in poverty was deserving of charity and welfare and who wasn't. Friendly societies then emerged with a one-member, one-vote system, centralized around principles of mutuality and self-help in the welfare of working people. Friendly societies made a huge surge and created a shift in economic models. There is a report saying that by the end of the 19th century, over 80% of British working-age men and 90% of Australian working-age men were members of one or more friendly societies. The first cooperative is debated, but as far as documentation goes, the first consumer cooperative comprised of local weavers in Fenwick, East Ayrshire in 1769 called the Fenwick Weavers' Society. They began selling oatmeal at a discounted price. The founder of the cooperative movement in Europe is considered to be Richard Owen. Owen saw putting his workers in a good environment with access to education for themselves and their children as an important principle. Continuing from this idea, the first cooperative was set up as a cotton mill in Lenmark. Owen had the idea of forming villages of cooperation where workers would empower themselves to emerge from impoverished conditions by growing their own food, making their own clothes, and ultimately becoming self-governing. He tried to form two communities in Scotland and in the US, but both communities failed. As Owen's work inspired the movement, Dr. William King furthered the idea in a practical way. King's objectives were to lay the foundations of cooperative ideology through teaching and spreading information. By starting small, he hoped that the working class would set up cooperatives themselves. He founded a monthly newspaper called The Co-operative, and the first edition appeared on the 1st of May, 1828. The paper was a mixture of cooperative philosophy and centered around practical advice about running a shop using cooperative principles. His advice for people was to basically form a society within a society rather than rejecting society. In his words, we must go to a shop every day to buy food and necessities. Why then should we not go to our own shop? This included establishing practices such as having a weekly account audit, having 3 trustees, and at the time not having meetings in pubs to avoid the temptation of drinking profits. This brings us to the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers, a group of 10 weavers and 20 others in Rochdale. With technological advancements, the mechanization of the Industrial Revolution was forcing more and more workers into poverty. The workers came together to form a society and sell food that they could otherwise not afford. Over a period of 4 months, the society struggled to pool £1 sterling per person for a total of 28 pounds of capital. Eventually, in 1844, they opened their store with a very meager selection of butter, sugar, flour, oatmeal, and a few candles. But within 3 months, their inventory was expanded to include tea and tobacco, and they were soon known for providing high quality and unadulterated goods. They designed the now famous Rochdale Principles, which inform the 7 principles of cooperatives today. These principles include voluntary and open membership, democratic member control, member economic participation, autonomy and independence, education and training and information, concern for community, and cooperation among cooperatives.